Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 9 Frames podcast. It is episode 92, and it is Monday, April 15th, 2024. That is Jackie Robinson Day to all who celebrate, and that's baseball.
Happy Jackie Robinson Day.
I am Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
Be sure to catch us, as always, on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Our Spotify is 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. Please follow us on there. Subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoy the show.
Yeah, nice weekend of baseball. I mean, it feels so good to say it every time. Just that we have full slates of games every weekend.
It was a weekend of baseball. I don't know if it was nice, though. A lot of beef this weekend.
Yeah, that Dodgers-Padres rivalry is really ramping up.
Not to mention the Orioles and the Brewers getting in each other's face as well. There is a lot of emotion going around the league now that the games really are starting to matter.
Yeah, and we've seen that. I mean, even back to like the first series of the year with the Mets and the Brewers.
Yep.
The Brewers are kind of a team that's getting under people's skin, apparently.
I mean, if they're going to be that team with that personality, that's part of their game is playing those mind games. Maybe it works for them.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was saying that they had kind of a rough offseason, but they're still sitting in first place.
We got some fun spots to talk about. Let's get right into it. And we will start with some of that beef right away as we start with some NL West beef between the Padres and the Dodgers, and bench is clear.
Yeah, and I mean, the Dodgers have had a pretty bitter rivalry with the Giants in the past. Now it seems like the one with the Padres is starting to ramp up even more.
This is one of those scenarios that felt so blown out of proportion.
It was.
Everyone involved. This was, like, it clearly wasn't an on-purpose up-and-in pitch that caused this because Gavin Stone, the pitcher at the time, was doing a no-hit bid. He was in the fifth inning with I believe a perfect game, actually.
Yeah, I mean, when the dust settles and you look back at it, it really just looks like these are two teams that are playing high-intensity games. They don't like each other, that's for sure.
Yep.
We saw all the way back in Korea, they started the first two-game series and they split. And now the Padres take 2 out of 3 in this series. So they're kind of a thorn in the Dodgers' side, as well as them being, kind of bitter rivals.
Not to mention, we've just been saying they did it in a couple other series as well. A team with a lot of late-inning fight this year is the Padres.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a really good lineup. We said that from the beginning of the season. If their starting pitching holds up, and their bullpen, I mean, their lineup is going to hit.
Very true. And like I said, Gavin Stone did retire the first 13 batters of that game, and then Jerkson Profar steps into the box. He squares up to bunt a bit, and a 92-mile-per-hour fastball comes up and in at him that he definitely takes exception to. The 11-year veteran kind of steps out of the box there, stares down the pitcher. He doesn't say anything, but then Will Smith decides that he's going to have some words with him. I'm not sure what he even said. Probably get back in the box, don't look at him, something like that. Stop showing up my pitcher.
Yeah, it probably was something like that. And honestly, like, thinking of it like that, Gavin Stone is a rookie pitcher, so I can see why Will Smith stuck up for him a little bit, but I really didn't think it was enough of a stare down, or I mean, he didn't mouth any words to him.
I think that's what it was exactly.
It was blown out of proportion.
This is a rivalry game, so emotions were already running high, and as soon as the catcher says something to you, when you almost got hit in the face with a fastball, I mean, you're going to say something back, and then obviously emotions are going to spiral. I
mean, I know from personal experience when I used to play baseball, I absolutely hated the up and in pitch. When it got near my head, I got pissed. And I could say that if a catcher would have said something, I don't even, like you said, we don't know what he said to him, but I mean, it would escalate.
Yeah, after the game there, Will Smith makes comments publicly calling Jerkson Profar. I don't know if he said kind of irrelevant or pretty irrelevant, or did he just straight up say he's irrelevant?
I think he said he was, I think he said, I don't know why we would throw at him, he's kind of irrelevant.
Kind of irrelevant. So, I mean, I was kind of on Will Smith's side at the beginning of this. I think it's strong language is what it is. Again,
I think it's
emotional.
I think it's the wrong choice of wording. I don't think you can call somebody, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't think you can call somebody that's played almost 10 years of service time at this point in the big leagues with nearly 200 doubles, 100 homers, 400 RBI. Like, he plays 7 out of 9 positions. You can't call somebody like that irrelevant because they do factor into a team's success. I mean, we always say on this podcast that bench players and utility players, they're huge for a team in a quest to a World Series, and this guy plays everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, playing devil's advocate here, I mean, Will Smith, what he meant by this, I think, is when you look at this baseball reference page, you're not seeing the All-Stars, the Gold Gloves, so any of those, really. You're not even the World Series champion at this point.
Yeah.
No All-Star games, and So he's saying you're not in the storylines.
And I think also, like, in the context of the Padres lineup, like, you are one of the more irrelevant players in their lineup. I guess that's kind of fair because they have some really good hitters in that lineup, but I don't think it's fair to say that Jurickson Profar is an irrelevant baseball player.
No, I think if this was
former number 1 overall prospect too, man. Like, he's had some horrible injuries. I'm also a Profar fan, so I'm going to be slightly biased, but like we were saying, sorry to cut you off. It's a rivalry.
No, yeah, what I was going to say is if this wasn't right after a rivalry game, I'm pretty sure Will Smith would have sat down with the reporters and said, it's a perfect game we're going for at that point. We're not going to throw at a bench player type guy, a platoon player type guy, and that is a way more reasonable thing to say than an irrelevant player.
Yeah, I think emotions were running high, so he just kind of said what came to mind. I kind of wonder, like, what if Profar was still on the Rockies and he did this? Do you think it goes the same way? I don't know if he would have escalated it the same way. I think maybe because it was the Padres, they were more on edge, and he just didn't like that he looked at his pitcher.
Yeah, still would have been an NL West matchup there, but just definitely not.
You want to talk about irrelevant? The Rockies.
Not nearly as big of that is a team that you could say it fair enough about. I don't think that he's irrelevant, but I understand what he's saying because Will Smith in 5 seasons, this is his 6th season now, has 15 WAR, while Jurickson Profar in 11 plus or 10 plus seasons.
I would never compare the two as players. I think Will Smith is definitely a better player than Jurickson Profar, but they do very different things. Yeah, one has been a catcher since he got brought up, and the other guy has kind of just been bounced around.
3 times the WAR in half the career is definitely impressive.
Yeah, I would never compare them as players. My issue was with him being called irrelevant because it's just tough to call somebody irrelevant that has a decade in the show, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
Profar steps up next day, and he clears the bases with a double over center fielder's head there. It was a gorgeous swing.
Almost a grand slam.
Right over Outman's head. San Diego ends up taking 2 out of 3 partially because of him. So
that was the game-winning hit. They go up 6-3, and that would be the final score.
Yep, they end up winning 8-7 on Friday, 5-2 loss on Saturday, and they win 6-3 on Sunday. I just wanted to ask you at the end here, who is the biggest threat to the Dodgers in the NL West?
I think you're looking at them.
I think you could be looking at them too. I originally thought it was going to be the Giants, but it just kind of feels like the Padres play them better.
They do play them very well. I mean, they split the series in Korea, and now they won this series in LA. So I mean, They play them very well, and they're only 2 games behind them now.
Definitely a very quick shift from both of us who didn't have the Padres in the playoffs. If they are going to put up the biggest fight, I mean, I don't know if they have what it takes to stick with the Dodgers for the long haul.
Yeah, over the course of a season, it might be kind of tough to keep up with that Dodgers team, but, I mean, they're 11-7 to start. They didn't think they'd be 11-7.
Very much could be a playoff team this year with the expanded format, and it would be interesting to see if they match up with the Dodgers again in a playoff series.
Definitely.
The other thing I wanted to talk about with the Dodgers here, just because it should definitely be mentioned, Shohei Ohtani ties Hideki Matsui for most home runs by a Japanese-born player at 175. What are your top 3 Japanese-born players?
Are we talking like pitchers and
all
hitters?
time? And I think we might have the same exact top 3 here.
Shohei has to be number 1.
He's my number 1 as well. I want to see if you match me.
I think Tanaka was very underrated for the Yankees over the course.
He's not getting in my top 3.
Who else? Dice K's up there. Hideo Nomo's up there. I mean, there's a lot of great players. To just pick 3 is tough.
I'll say
especially with how many more are coming over now.
I got Shohei Ohtani at my number 1. My number 2 is a Ichiro Suzuki.
That one's I don't know why I missed that.
And my number 3 is Hideki Matsui here with that pop.
Oh, I didn't say Matsui either. I mean, there's just so many that have come over now. I mean, now we got Yuki Matsui.
Really phenomenal talent.
Yamamoto's over here now. And then more guys are coming. Imanaga hasn't given up an earned run yet.
We're definitely going to talk about him a little later. One of my favorite arms in the game to watch right now.
And it's really awesome to see these guys come over and be able to perform. I mean, Yoshida on the Red Sox. There's a lot of good Japanese-born players in the major leagues right now, and it's really great to see. And she's led by Shohei Ohtani.
It's been cool seeing. I think Ohtani's part of it. Really a revolution in Japanese baseball, where a lot of the time when Japanese talent would come over, they would be either control arms or contact bats. But a guy like Hideki Matsui or Ohtani, they get the pop, and Ohtani obviously throws very fast. So changing the mold.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, could go down as one of the most one of the greatest players we've ever seen.
Iconic as well, yeah.
Iconic, yeah. I was looking for a word. I can't even think of a word to describe
Legendary.
the guy.
Go ahead.
He's a unicorn, dude. He does shit that we've never seen before. It's crazy.
Speaking of unicorns, we will move on to Aaron Judge here, who ties Derek Jeter already on the Yankees home run list at 260. He did that in under 9 years as opposed to the 20 years that Jeter played. What a power bat there.
Yeah.
The Yankees sit at 12-4 now after taking 2 out of 3 in Cleveland, losing in 10 innings on Sunday.
Yeah, hitting 52 as a rookie and then 62 to break the American League record in his MVP season in 2022. I mean, that'll do it.
That's a good jump start.
What is that, like 110, 115 almost?
Around there.
So, in just 2 seasons, I mean... And Aaron Judge really hasn't been as healthy as he could be. I mean,
that's the thing, man.
I know,
imagine that number if he had played a full 9 seasons, which he obviously hasn't. He's been banged up a couple of times now.
Yeah, he'll go down as one of the most freakishly powerful hitters we've ever seen. They've got a bunch of thumpers in that lineup, and that's a big factor as to why they're 12-4 right now. I mean, I was looking at it this morning. Anthony Volpe is tearing up the league right now. He's got like still 1,000+ OPS.
Not to mention help from guys like Oswaldo Cabrera. He's been very clutch. And then you got Juan Soto, who's really fulfilling his role perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, Giancarlo's looked better. I mean, he's slapping the ball a little harder now. Yeah, the Yankees have gotten off to a very, very good start.
And they would have swept Cleveland there if it wasn't for a 9-8 thriller in 10 innings. They are now 2.5 games up on Baltimore, who ended up dropping 2 out of 3 to Milwaukee there. But what I wanted to talk about is this home run puts Aaron Judge tied for 9th on the all-time Yankee home run list. He is 15 behind Jorge Posada at 275 for 8th. Where will he end up when it's all said and done?
Well, what's the top?
Yeah, let me pull up. It's not the top, let me tell you. Let me pull up the list. 659 by Babe Ruth in a Yankee jersey.
He ain't passing that.
Yeah, so we got number 2 is Mickey Mantle at 536, Lou Gehrig at 439, Joe DiMaggio at 361. Now I think we're getting to where he could get in there.
Yeah, I mean, if Judge stays healthy, that's the biggest thing. If he can stay healthy, he can hit 450 to 500 home runs in his career.
Only 90 home runs in a Yankee uniform behind Alex Rodriguez. Obviously, Rodriguez played for a few different teams, but Aaron Judge, man, that's an impressive number.
Well, multiple MVPs with the Yanks, though.
Yeah, and you see here, he only did it in 851 games as opposed to A-Rod's 1,500. Obviously, he has 90 more homers, but that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. I mean, he's on his homer per game pace is absolutely ridiculous. He homers like once every 4 games, it looks like.
Yeah, so, I don't think this would be shocking to see him in the top 4 or 5, maybe even 3 if he gets to 500 bombs, which he could if he stays healthy.
I could fully see him getting to 450, 500 bombs if he remains healthy.
Man, if the top 3 by the time it's said and done is Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, and Aaron Judge, that is some incredible company to get into.
That list is like overwhelming with like Hall of Fame level talent, and he is inserting himself in the middle, and he might be closer to the top when it's all said and done.
I mean, I went all the way down the list, and I didn't even get to Bernie Williams at 287. I mean, just how many Hall of Famers did I name?
I mean, look at the guys that he's already passed: Don Mattingly, Jason Giambi, Mark Teixeira, Dave Winfield, Robinson Cano, Roger. I mean, the list goes on. The Yankees are one of the most historical franchise in all of sports, I would say.
Yeah.
And for him to be climbing that list at the rate that he is, man, even with dealing with injuries that he has, it's really some incredible stuff.
Yeah, for the love of the game, I would love to see him get to 500 and become the 3rd on that list. That would be awesome to see.
Yeah, for sure.
The next thing I'll talk about here is pretty fun. The A's, the Oakland Athletics, we can't say that for very long, have won 3 straight series for the first time since May 2021 Sunday, as they put up a 6 spot, down 6-1 in the 6th inning. That's a lot of 6s.
They got some dogs on that team, man.
They did do that against the Washington Nationals, but what I wanted to pose to you is, because they do sit just 1 game out of the AL West lead, does this A's team have any chance at all to make the postseason with the expanded format?
I don't believe so. I don't think over the course of the season that they're going to be able to hold this up, but that being said, they do have some great players. I mean, I'll give credit to Paul Blackburn. He's been fantastic this season so far. I don't think he's given up a run.
I believe he's another one who still hasn't given up a run as well.
In 3 starts. Lawrence Butler has been a jolt in their lineup. I mean, he was the other day. One of the games that they won was all Lawrence Butler. He had an RBI double, I think it was, and then the walk-off homer.
And it is notable. This is a team who has pretty much been playing in spite of themselves, the way that the the management has been sending guys down just for making like statements that are not ownership friendly, I should say.
Yeah, I think that they are playing out of spite, and I mean, them being 6-8 is very impressive.
It would be pretty iconic to see them make the playoffs in their last year in Oakland. That is not something we had on the list.
I think I literally told you like last week, because we have like the whole divisions of hats on the wall that we change every week, and I said I don't think that the A's are going to be moving out of last place much, and the Houston Astros are currently in that spot.
I mean, the A's, I believe, should be at second, but I think we updated them on Sunday.
Sunday morning is
right now they sit in second. Pretty incredible to see green and yellow in second place in that division. Not something I thought I'd see all year.
No, absolutely not. But hey, shout out to them, man. Go out there and play every day. That's what you love to see.
Man, it would be really fun to see them be a 6th seed, but I do not know if they have the roster to sustain 162.
It's a long season. That's all I'll say.
The last thing we'll talk about here, we did mention it earlier. My guy, Shota Imanaga, still has not given up an earned run in 15 1/3 to begin his MLB career.
Only one unearned.
And the Cubs are on a pretty good little start here. We saw Kershaw go 41 scoreless in 2014. We saw Zach Gallen in 2022 go 44 1/3, pretty incredible. Zach Greinke, also for the Dodgers, went 45 2/3 a year later in 2014. I
remember that.
The longest scoreless streak ever was Orel Hershiser at 59 innings pitched in 1988 for the Dodgers.
How many Dodgers are going to be on the damn list?
I know, right? I just wanted to ask you, how long can Imanaga go?
I don't know, man. I didn't think you'd go this long. I mean, this is a guy that's transitioning from Japanese baseball to major leagues too, just like Yamamoto.
15 1/3 to start your career?
That is nothing to scoff at, dude. That is a crazy start to your career. He's looked great in every single start. Unfortunately for him, his second start against the Dodgers got cut short because of a rain delay that lasted like over an hour.
Maybe, unfortunately. That might be part of the reason he still got the scoreless.
He still went 4 scoreless against them.
Very true.
He was shoving against them. So, I mean, he's been great. Your Rookie of the Year pick. I mean, he's looked fantastic for the Cubs. I really wanted him on the Mets.
Yeah, man.
For the value that he got. I think it was a great deal for the Cubs, and clearly, I mean, he's already proven them right.
Yeah, this is a guy that I really want to see him get to the 40s, because that's where you start mentioning history.
Yeah.
But that is tough to do.
It's a long way to go.
And it would be your first 40 big league innings, not giving up a run. Yeah, that's history.
He needs another 25. Think about that. That could be like 2 or 3, maybe 4 starts with no runs.
Yeah, that's another one where it's just like Aaron Judge when I was talking about him. Just for the love of the game, the history books, if this rookie doesn't give up a run and he puts himself next to Kershaw, Zach Gallen, Zach Greinke, even anywhere near Orel Hershiser, and there are some great names on the list that I didn't even mention. If he gets around 40, that's incredible.
I remember back in Felix Hernandez's day, he had a lengthy scoreless streak as well. I mean, some great pitchers have some scoreless streaks.
Yeah, I remember R.A. Dickey's back in the day. That was lengthy as well.
Zach Gallen being at 44 1/3 is pretty damn impressive, man.
Yeah, he did.
Or 45 at whatever it was.
44 1/3, in 2022, which was a great run for Zach Gallen.
Unbelievable. I mean, I'm rooting for Imanaga. Yeah, I got him on my fantasy team.
Let's make the push to 40, because that's where I want to see him get to. But it should be very interesting. I know I'll be locked in on his next start, as I will be on probably most of his starts all year.
As will I. And just real quick before we wrap it up, I forgot to mention it when we were talking about the Padres. It's just a quick little note. Their closer, Robert Suarez, he has appeared in, I think, 5 or 6 games now, and he's thrown at like 55 pitches. They've all been fastballs.
I believe he just threw his first non-fastball last night.
It was technically a fastball.
Oh, it was another sinker,
It was a sinker.
Okay, so the first pitch he throws that's not a four-seam fastball is another sinking fastball. I think the only other pitch he has is a changeup, and he hasn't shown it this year.
He has not thrown the changeup one time this year. He's only thrown the sinker once, and then the four-seamer like 54, 55 times, and he has, I think, the league lead in saves right now.
When you think of a pitch mix, you got to think that big league hitters will time that up, and they just have not been able to.
They can't time it up. I mean, he throws hard. It's 98 to 100, so...
Not to mention getting past the Dodgers lineup there, it's clearly incredible work he's doing with just one pitch.
Yeah, it's really impressive. He's got one of the better fastballs in baseball, obviously. They can't hit it, and they know it's coming.
Yeah, keep your eye on him. He should be a fun one to watch as the days progress. Thank you to everybody for listening wherever you do. This was episode 92 of the 9 Frames podcast, and it is Monday, April 15th, 2024. I have been Bill Whelan.
And I've been Mike Whelan.
Be sure to catch us, as always, on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Our Spotify is 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. Please follow us on there. Subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoy the show.
Yeah, we appreciate it as always, and we got rivalries ramping up. We got beef going around. I mean, some great baseball being played by teams like the Yankees. I mean, the A's. It's 6-8, but still, I mean, nobody had them being 6-8. So
a nice, rare full slate on Monday here, as it is April 15th and Jackie Robinson Day. So we'll see all the number 42s out there on the jerseys today.
Yep, and we didn't mention it, but I mean, even teams like the Royals and Tigers still surprising everybody, being in first and second place. So yeah, it's going to be a fun season. It looks like.
Yeah.